The time has finally come. It is Queen of Air and Darkness Day. Hey friends! So today I thought I would do the TMI versus TID versus TDA tag. This was originally just the Mortal Instruments versus the Infernal Devices tag, and then Emma from Emma Books has done it into, a tag where you decide between the 3 Shadowhunter series, and I saw it on Christine's channel. So I'm gonna leave a link to the very original one, to Emma's, and to Christine's video in the description, so you can check them all out. But this is basically just, having like different categories, and you decide which of the 3 Shadowhunter series is your favorite in that category. I just really built some hype for this book throughout November with rereading Lady Midnight and Lord of Shadows and reading the Ghosts of the Shadow Market stories. So I am just so pumped. And when I saw this tag, I just knew I had to do it. I just had to do something Shadowhunter related, especially because I plan to do a full reread of the Mortal Instruments and the Infernal Devices next year. And I think it will be really fun to maybe potentially do this tag again next year, when first of all Queen of Air and Darkness is actually out and I've reread all of these books, and to see how I will think about things then. And City of Bones was one of the very first books that I ever talked about on this channel. Like the Mortal Instruments series was like the first kind of series that I read on this channel, and so it has a very, very special place in my heart. I'm just really excited, and I thought it was just the perfect opportunity to do this kind of off-schedule video for the release of Queen of Air and Darkness. Before I start, I should say that this comes with a huge spoiler warning. If you have not read all of the books, then better not watch this video, because I can't guarantee that I'm not going to spoil anything for you. I feel like at this point, the storylines and everything, it's so interwoven, I could not pay attention to what spoilers I mentioned for what kind of book, or you don't mind about getting spoiled, whatever, you know what I mean. I'm not saying there's going to be like huge spoilers in it. I just want to give this warning so that you just know that I'm not really going to pay attention to what I'm going to say. The first kind of category is favorite main character between, Emma, Tessa, and Clary. I think subjectively it's definitely Emma, but I don't know, I just have so many nostalgic feelings about Clary, and I know that there are definitely parts in it where she annoyed me, but I also really, really love her character development, and I think that is why I have to choose Clary. I just love the way she develops throughout the Mortal Instruments, and even now, I have to choose Clary. And I'm biased, I should say that anyway. Maybe the Mortal Instruments is actually my favorite of the series, and so I am pretty sure that is gonna win. I'm gonna tell you quite honestly. I would be very surprised if it wasn't the one to win. Then the next question is, it's so funny because I don't even need to mention the options. The next one is favorite Herondale, obviously between Jace, Will, and Kit. Now I feel like Kit, we don't really know enough about him yet, but my choice is Jace anyway, because I love Jace. Like, he's my favorite character from the whole Shadowhunter world, so obviously. The next one is favorite love triangle. Now, we have obviously Simon, Jace, and Clary, and we have Will, Jem, and Tessa. And then Emma choose Mark, Emma, and Julian for the Dark Artifices. I actually think that Mark, Kieran, and Christina is a little bit more fitting, and also this makes it harder for me to choose because, okay, Jace, Clary, Simon out of the way immediately. Like, I hated that love triangle. And then obviously, the Infernal Devices has one of the most beautiful love triangles ever. But I also really, really like the love triangle between Christina, Mark, and Kieran, especially because I'm having high hopes for this actually being a polyam relationship. So I just thought I'd rather go with this choice, because otherwise it's very obvious that it's going to be the Infernal Devices. But in this case, if the TDA choice is Mark, Kieran, and Christina, I feel like I almost made this too hard for myself. And especially as I don't know yet how it's going to play out. You know what? I'm gonna go with Will, Jem, and Tessa for now, and then we'll see if maybe potentially, considering how, the TDA love triangle ends up, how that is gonna affect this choice. But for now, I'm gonna go with the Infernal Devices because it's just so beautifully done. The next category is favorite villain. Now, Emma had different kind of choices to Christine. What I liked about Christine is that she looked at the Mortal Instruments as kind of two trilogies. So she had both Sebastian and Valentine as choices, and then obviously Mortmain for the Infernal Devices, and then Christine had Malcolm, and Emma had Annabelle. I'm gonna decide between Sebastian, Valentine, Mortmain, and Malcolm, because I just don't think we have seen enough of Annabelle just yet. Depending on Queen of Air and Darkness, she's for sure gonna be my favorite villain because she's so multi-layered and I love that. But I think between the 4 choices that I have now, I would probably have to go with Sebastian. He makes me feel uncomfortable in a lot of ways, but I think that there's also a lot of interesting layers to this character and just a lot of stuff going on, and I don't know, I can't even, like, it's been so long since I read the Mortal Instruments, so, you know, it's hard for me with some of these categories, but my gut tells me Sebastian, so we'll see how. I think this is going to be very interesting after I reread the books. Then the next category is your favorite army. So, you know, when this was just the TMI and TID, it was obviously between the Clockwork Army and the Dark Army from TMI. And I like how Emma changed that question. She has it like favorite threat and included the, you know, Parabatai curse. Also is once again making my choice much harder, because for me, when I think of the armies and when I think of like groups of people that are kind of, you know, scary in TDA. Just when I think of all of that, for me it's very clear that the Clockwork Army is the most, like, the coolest one. But when you include this threat in TDA, that is for sure my favorite. The thought of it just scares me. Like, the thought of it alone really, really scares me. The thought of what is gonna happen. And so, even if it doesn't end up being a thing, like anything actually happening in Queen of Air and Darkness, I think for me it's the scariest, because just thinking about it scares me. The next category is best first book, and that I think I cannot imagine anybody choosing not Lady Midnight. First of all, Clockwork Angel is one of my least favorite books out of all the Shadowhunter books. I think it's really boring and just slow paced. I really was not a fan of Clockwork Angel. And then, you know, City of Bones for me was fine, but still, like, Lady Midnight is so clearly the winner of this. I cannot imagine anybody saying anything else, honestly. Then the next question is a favorite female supporting lead between Christina, Isabel, and Cecily. And for me, that definitely goes to Isabel. Like, I love all of these characters, but I actually think Christina can be quite annoying sometimes. Like, sometimes the things she says, I'm just like, ugh. Cecily, I loved her, but I don't really remember too much about her, whereas Isabel still really stands out to me as a character, so very, very clearly my choice. Then the next category is best setting between the London Institute, the Los Angeles Institute, and the New York Institute, and honestly, like, London all the fucking way. It's just, it has a completely different feel, just this historical fiction feel and everything. I think that is just, there's no way to compare that to the modern day settings of New York and LA. Like, no question for me at all. The next category is best final book in the series. Obviously, Queen of Air and Darkness is not out yet, but I thought I would still, you know, choose what my favorite is, and probably I'm gonna tell you honestly, I don't think that my favorite can be defeated by Queen of Air and Darkness. So I thought it would be fun to look at, like, kind of, again, the Mortal Instruments as 2 trilogies. So I am gonna choose between Clockwork Princess, City of Heavenly Fire, and City of Glass. Now, the funny thing is, I think actually that City of Glass is still my favorite Shadowhunter books out of them all. But as far as favorite last book to, like, end a series, City of Heavenly Fire, for sure. I loved all of it, and I just love the characters. I love how it connects, like, both the other series to it, but especially the Infernal Devices, like, just sometimes these small things and bringing all of these characters together. I'm just getting emotional thinking about it. So for me, this is a very clear choice. And honestly, if Queen of Air and Darkness beats this, I don't know, I think I'm gonna start, like, questioning everything. And I'm not saying that I don't have high hopes for Queen of Air and Darkness. I have huge hopes for Queen of Air and Darkness. But if this beats the final book in the Mortal Instruments for me, I don't know, man. That's gonna be really fucking strange. And then the original final question, but I'm gonna do another one, is best final epilogue. And I don't even, this is another thing where I'm like, if Queen of Air and Darkness beats Clockwork Princess, which has the best epilogue of all time, then I just feel like, I don't know, I feel like not only is gonna be like the Shadowhunter world is gonna be shook, but my world is gonna be shook. Like, what the fuck? I don't know. This is just thinking about these, theorizing where Queen of Air and Darkness and the Dark Artificers is gonna be for me after that. I'm having a crisis, honestly. But for now, for sure, Clockwork Princess. Best epilogue ever. Like, not even Shadowhunter related, just all of the epilogues in all of the worlds. And then I also liked that Christine included favorite middle book between City of Ashes, and I guess technically you could include City of Lost Souls as well if you wanted to, Lord of Shadows, and Clockwork Prince. And I really wanted to do this as well, just because Clockwork Prince is in my top 3 of all of the Shadowhunter books, and I just think that Clockwork Prince is the best book out of the Infernal Devices. So I wanted to include this question so I could include Clockwork Prince, and so I'm gonna give another point to the Infernal Devices. So that were 11 categories overall, and I am... Okay, the Mortal Instruments won, obviously, but I'm surprised to say that the Mortal Instruments won with only 5 versus the Infernal Devices with 4, and then, not very surprising, the Dark Artificers with 2. Obviously, it's been 11 questions. Why did I have to look at that? I honestly thought that the Mortal Instruments would be even more in the lead, or that like the Infernal Devices and the Dark Artificers would be more equal, you know, and that I didn't think that the Mortal Instruments and the Infernal Devices would be so close. But at the same time, this makes a lot of sense, because for me, even though I obviously have now very much fallen in love with the Dark Artificers, I am so far loving the Mortal Instruments and the Infernal Devices more still. At the moment, without having read those in a long time, without Queen of Air and Darkness being out, we're going to talk about that again next year when I have reread all of the books and when I read Queen of Air and Darkness and all of the things. Yeah, I'm not surprised, and I'm going to tell you honestly that I think even after my reread, when I do this again, the Mortal Instruments is probably still going to be my favorite. I'm pretty sure. I'm just gonna say it because this is gonna be fun to look back at. But yeah, so this really was a fun thing, especially because it's just fun to look at the different elements and how I think a lot of the things in the Dark Artificers are subjectively better. But that doesn't mean that I have to like them, you know, the most. If you have done this tag with all 3 series included, please link it to me in the comments. I really want to see it. And otherwise, if you haven't done it and you want to do it, please do it. Feel free to say that I tagged you. Or if you don't want to do a video or a blog post or anything on it, please let me know your answers in the comments. I would love to read through comments that tell me which series you would choose for these categories. That would make me incredibly happy to see someone doing this in the comments. So if you have a little bit of time, I would absolutely love to just read through those and in general just discuss all Shadowhunter things with you. While you're watching this, I'm probably already crying over Queen of Air and Darkness. It's gonna be a fun time, and yeah, I make new videos normally every Wednesday and Sunday with occasional reviews on Friday, so click subscribe to never miss anything and hit the little bell so you get notified as well. And thank you so much for watching. I guess I'll see you soon if I haven't died after Queen of Air and Darkness.